I didn't want to do it. I wanted to get through the current doing of the concerns without having to touch it, but it's been too long. The masses must be appeased, and I must again dive into the world of the most wootastic of the peddlers of nonsense. That's right, folks. It's spirit science time again. May and to have mercy on us all. You know what? I genuinely didn't realise that I had ended the last video exactly on the opening title thingy. It's like I was meant to make this crap. Anyway, skip that, there's very little to make fun of. And if I don't make fun of something every 37 seconds, my skin starts to peel off. So, get a move on, please. It's starting to itch.
Have you ever had a moment where you knew exactly what someone was going to say 2 or 3 seconds before they even started talking?
Yes, it's called starting a channel making fun of bad ideas. Those bad ideas all mesh together and you start to see the patterns in them. It goes something like this. I don't understand X. I could A, study it and gain a legitimate understanding of it, or B, make something up and then find things that seem to back that up instead of the studying thing. Yeah, let's just do that. Facts are hard. It then tends to make it very easy to figure out what people are going to say, because all you really do is just think of the most nonsensical thing that could go in the place of reality, and 9 times out of 10, it's that. Rinse and repeat, and you have yourself a brain tumour. I mean channel.
Do you have a shared connection between a loved one or a pet, where you can always tell exactly what the other was feeling?
Yeah, a close relationship with someone. That will happen there. People get used to each other. It becomes easy to figure out what they are thinking because thought patterns don't tend to change dramatically from day to day, bar some kind of psychological disorder. Also, you will know looks on people's faces and certain actions that are associated with certain feelings. It's all very normal. It's all very common. But it's not, in any way, shape or form, magic.
Or what they're thinking of even when they're not really around?
Probably pondering what they are always pondering. How to take over the world. That or about cheesecake. What do you think about, babes?
A cheesecake taking over world.
Nailed it.
What about that curious feeling like you were being watched, only to turn around to see yak?
Well, aside from the fact that our brains take in a lot of information without, telling us properly, and instead giving us weird feelings, etc., think about all the times, and I mean really, honestly think, how often you've been alone in the dark, and for just a split second your brain goes, lol, someone's behind you, and you take a quick look around, and there's no one there. You know it's happened, but you never dwell on it, because nothing ever comes of it, obviously. But that one time you got that same feeling, turned around, and you see tiger with spider legs dressed as a clown gesturing towards a podium for you to give a speech to your peers. Also, you're naked. Well, that just happens to be the one you remember, for some reason.
Yeah, just like that.
Ah, good, that happens to you too. Oof. I knew it couldn't just be me.
We've all had experiences like these, at least a few times, some many more than others.
Normal things happen to people regularly. Weird. Must be proof of magic, or psychic powers, or fegging Atlantis or something.
There are even a few people who can tap into this experience quite easily.
Well, that feeling like someone is watching you thing? Yeah, it's called having anxiety. I know that everyone is always watching me, even when they aren't. But what do they say? Just because you're paranoid doesn't mean you aren't all out to get me.
And while generally they're written off as being crazy, maybe we've been mistaken.
No, most of what you spoke about was very, very normal. It's the people who extrapolate that normal stuff into, well, I must have superpowers, who are considered to be not quite all there. But it's not the experiences that make people think that. It's the I'm so special thing. You're not special, Karen. You're incredibly boring. No, I don't want to buy some essential oils.
Perhaps there's genuine validity to the idea of psychic.
Nope, because everything you have described has a perfectly non-psychic explanation. But even if there was, it's weird how every test under lab conditions comes out as false to that claim, and or many folks who claim to have these kinds of abilities refuse to do tests because, well, something else they can't prove means that it does not work. Probably ghosts.
In the world of science, what do we really know about consciousness?
I suppose it all depends on what you define as consciousness. If it's just our awareness of our surroundings and the sensory information that is received and interpreted in our minds as what we perceive to be the reality around us, then kind of that. If it's, oh, spooky ghosts, magic in the brain, then not a lot, I guess, because that's just really dumb. Why would you say that? I know you didn't, but it sounds like something you would say, so stop it.
We don't really know what consciousness is or how it works. This is what is sometimes called the hard problem.
I got a hard problem for you. It's this. I have been working on it for days, and I am just stumped. Baffled, I tell you. You know what? I'm just going to put 5. It's probably right.
Because there's no obvious explanation for why we should be conscious at all.
There's definitely no explanation as to why, or more appropriately, how you are conscious. I imagine your mind is an amalgamation of a series of banging and farting sounds that somehow formed an open quotes, working, close quotes, brain. Quite the medical marvel, I think you'll all agree.
And it's because of this reason that consciousness studies is one of the most exciting frontier areas of science
Because
today.
That's subjective, to say the least. I mean, because I find the very highly scientific field of how much whiskey can I fit inside my body before it starts to leak out of my eye sockets to be wildly exciting. Erotic, almost. I also like space, because rocket go...
For a long time, scientists believed that thoughts resided purely in the brain, and that was the end of the story.
I mean, that is essentially where they are. Sure, you could make arguments about them moving to other parts of the bodies, like that your thoughts are transmitted out of your fingers when you type, or that you can share thoughts through the air with sound, and fine, that's, whatever. But that's not really what you mean, is it? Just say the thing so I can make fun of them, come on.
Today, however, we understand a lot more.
I'm pretty sure when you say we and anything about knowledge or understanding, well, that's basically a lie. Although lying would be intentional, and I don't think you have the capacity to deliberately try to mislead. So, a big silly no-no? That also happens to be the name of my penis.
And there are several individuals and their teams I'd love to give special commendations towards.
Oh God, can you imagine waking up one day to find out freaking spirit science was giving you awards and commendations? It's like, oh God, how badly did I mess up that guy thinks I agree with him? Ah.
The first scientist is a man named Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, PhD.
Oh, okay, it's just Rupert Sheldrake. Yeah, I know he's technically Dr. Rupert Sheldrake, but the man hasn't been a scientist since the 80s. That is to say, he stopped doing actual science and started spreading his own brand of woo in the 80s. And yeah, I know, not all doctorates are the same, whatever, but I think if you haven't actually used yours as anything other than a title and a coaster in 40 years, then you should have it taken away and burnt in front of you.
This man has compiled a number of powerful and thought-provoking experiments which change the way that we look at and understand our minds.
Powerful and thought-provoking. Consider the lack of the words testable, accurate, falsifiable, or even just useful. And then throw that consideration in the bin, because it's powerful and thought-provoking. Who needs experiments that actually produce actual value when you can make one that makes you go, while stroking your chin?
From his work and experiments, he puts forth the idea that the mind is not isolated inside the head at all, but extends out into the world around us as a morphogenetic field.
Well, if I ever heard anything that sounds like complete and total horsepats, I think that would be at the top of the list. Let me guess though, for some reason his experiments don't produce repeatable results, and his theories don't actually predict anything or explain how the brain works. Sorry, I'm using my superpowers of all woo essentially being the same again. I'll stop.
One thing I love about this man is that he used very practical and common experiences that many of us go through on a daily basis.
You mean those things that again, we know can be explained, and much better explained, by actual things that actually happened and are real. And not, you are part of a cosmic mind mesh. And tell me, what happens to people who have some kind of brain damage that results in memory loss, but they can, say, form new ones? How come they can't just re-download a copy of those memories off the MindNet? I mean, seriously, if you can read other people's thoughts, that must mean that there are other copies. I'm sure you would say, oh, it doesn't work like that, and then spew out BS, but whatever, I just wanted to get it out there, okay?
And turned them into a wide array of powerful scientific experiments.
There's that powerful word again. First off, what's the betting that they're just thought experiments, which, while they can be interesting, are they really science, like hard science? Not convinced. And there are plenty of proper experiments you could do that one might consider powerful and thought-provoking ideas, but once you sit down to test them, they turn out to be, well, kind of dumb. Well, hey, perfect for you then, really.
In one particular experiment, they demonstrated the connection between dogs and humans by monitoring the behavior of the dog when the person was out of the house.
Doggy! Oh, look at the doggy. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? You are. Yes, you are.
And the dogs would repeatedly show behavior of waiting by the door for their human buddy as early as when the person even had the intention to go home, even from long distances away.
Of course he does. He's a good boy. No, I have no idea of the gender of the dog. All dogs are good boys. That's just a fact backed up by science. Duh.
Skeptics are often quick to respond that the dogs are used to hearing familiar car sounds, or they know generally what time their human comes home at.
Sure, that and dogs will check repeatedly, and I'm sure the experiments never left out a bunch of times when the dog didn't give much of a damn and what have you. But hey, I'll give you that dogs just know somehow that their favy is coming home and go to the door when they do. If true, it doesn't mean that there is some kind of all-encompassing superfield connecting us all together. A much more likely explanation is that dogs are filled with a chemical called goodboyium that gives them the ability to GPS track whomever they have spread their goodboyium all over with drool. In fact, I am going to do a U and decide that that is true because it makes me feel good. You know, because that's how science works. The facts that make you happy get to be true, and the ones that make you sad get to be false.
And so Dr. Sheldrake ran the experiments using unfamiliar cars and random and unusual times for the individuals to go home.
Ugh, what a monster. Now he's just screwing with those poor good boyos. Unbelievable.
Which still yielded the same results, having the dogs wait by the door the moment that the person sets the intention to return.
He's such a good boy. Sorry, I like dogs. I want one, but Mrs. Sick won't let me get one. She's right not to, though. I would totally kick her out of bed for doggo cuddles. Anyway, yeah, Mr. Sheldrake's studies, I'm sure they are totally legit, and it's just a coincidence / cover-up that no one's been able to replicate his studies under lab conditions. That's right, Blue Boy. When your guy's claims don't hold up to scrutiny, there's a reason why they publish books instead of papers. Anyway, does he have anything else before we have to go?
Dr. Sheldrake also did a number of experiments which he described as telephone telepathy.
Nope, I am done. I'll see you next time, you big blue idiot. I need to do things to my brain before I attempt another one of these claims. Christ. Guys, don't forget to panic buy Sick Brand merch. What if you need to let people know that you are handsome, famous and good at the sex in a variety of tasteful colours? Buy as many as you can afford now before this thing that's printed to order runs out. Also, you can use it as toilet paper if needs be. You never know when you're going to need to wipe your arse.